There comes a moment, not when you ask, not when you demand, but when you become still enough to hear, and in that stillness you hear it, not with your ears but with your being, a whisper like wind through an ancient forest. It is time for you to see I keep my promises. You see, what you call waiting was never waiting, it was shaping. While you stared at the horizon, hoping for a sign, the divine was working. In the soil beneath your feet, in the roots of your soul. A promise is not a transaction, it is not a bargain between man and the heavens. It is a seed buried deep inside the unseen, and just like the seed, it must go through darkness, it must lose what it was, before it becomes what it was meant to be. You think the promise is late, but time is only late when you are not ready. What you think is silence is the space in which your inner walls are being dismantled, walls that could not hold the weight of what you asked for. So now, when you've tasted failure, when your hands are no longer grasping, when your pride has grown tired of performing, you are finally still, and in that stillness it is being revealed not just what was promised, but who you are. The promise is not something you will own, it is something you will carry. It was never just about your comfort, your gain, your name. It was always about becoming a channel, so that through you, the divine could reach others. And now the veil is lifting. Now you are not demanding answers, you are listening. Now the noise has faded, and the voice is clear. God says, what I spoke over you, I have not forgotten. Now that you are ready, you will see, I always keep my promises. What you call delay, the divine calls preparation. The human mind, trapped in the ticking of clocks and the turning of calendars, often imagines that if something hasn't happened by a certain moment, it may never happen at all. But existence does not rush. The seed does not bloom the day it is planted. Even the sun waits through the night before it rises again. You see, time as you know it is mechanical, linear, urgent, always moving. But divine timing is not like that. It does not answer to your impatience. It answers to your evolution. It waits for the soil of your life to be deep enough, your roots to be strong enough, your inner space to be quiet enough. When you demand, why not now? It is not the heavens that are late, it is your awareness that is early. The promise is not absent, it is maturing. Life is not withholding, it is aligning. And when all that needs to unfold within you has found its place, the promise will not arrive. It will unveil itself. Until then, remember, just because the fruit is not on the branch today doesn't mean the tree is dead. Something unseen is always at work. And when the divine finally moves, it does so not in haste, but with perfect, irreversible precision. A promise given by the divine is not like a contract drawn up on paper. It is a living force, a seed sown into the soil of your soul. But like any seed, it does not grow simply because you wish it to. It grows when the season is right, when the rains have fallen, when the soil is ready, and when the sun knows exactly how to touch it. You may beg, plead, even fast or shout to the skies, hoping your voice will hurry the heavens, but the divine is not moved by noise, it is moved by readiness. Often, what you see as a delay is not punishment but precision. Life is orchestrating 1,000 pieces you cannot see. What you think is silence is a sacred alignment. You must understand this. The universe is not late, it is not forgetful, it is wise beyond your understanding. It will never deliver a promise to a version of you that cannot carry its weight. So if it hasn't come, don't ask, why is it not here? Ask, what is still being formed within me? The problem is not that the promise is far. The problem is that the mind is loud. You must become still enough to notice what is unfolding beneath the surface. Then, when it arrives, not early, not late, but exactly on time, you will not just receive it. You will recognize it. There are moments when you feel forgotten, when every prayer echoes back in silence, and every effort seems to vanish into the void. But in those very moments, something sacred is happening behind the scenes. The divine is not ignoring you, it is preparing you. You see, a promise from the higher intelligence is never a reaction, it is always a revelation. It is not bound by your plans, your deadlines, your expectations. You are watching the clock, but the divine is watching you. And when who you are begins to align with what you were promised, that's when it begins to unfold. Not before and never too late. So many times you say, I'm ready. But are you really? Is your heart clear enough not to distort the gift? Is your mind quiet enough not to sabotage it? Is your ego humble enough not to claim it as your own doing? Until you become the version of yourself that the promise was meant for, the delay continues, not out of cruelty but out of care. The divine does not just want you to receive, it wants you to contain, and that requires reshaping, stretching, shedding. It is a slow, silent work. But when it's done, when your being is ripe, the promise doesn't have to be forced. It flows in, and you realize it was never late. It was just waiting for you to arrive. There is a strange pain in not knowing when. The mind aches to predict, to control, to arrange life in neat timelines and fixed outcomes. But the divine does not operate within your framework of urgency. It is not moved by your panic nor pressured by your schedules. It waits. Not because it is indifferent, but because it is deeply intentional. You must understand, to receive what is meant for you before you are ready is not a blessing. It is a burden. The promise you long for could crush you if it comes too soon. So the divine holds it back, like a river held behind a dam, not to deny you, but to ensure that when the flow comes, you are strong enough to stand in it without being swept away. This waiting is not passive. It is not wasted. Every moment is shaping you in ways you cannot see. Life is arranging people, events, inner awakenings, things that must align so the promise can arrive in full, not in fragments. And while you wait, the real transformation happens, not in the world around you, but within you. Eventually the day comes, not always with a sign, not with thunder, but like the sunrise, certain, gentle, undeniable. What was once delayed now seems obvious. You no longer ask, why did it take so long? You begin to whisper, thank you that it didn't come a moment sooner. The divine does not rush because it is not trying to prove anything. It does not need to arrive early to impress you, nor does it fear being late. It moves with a rhythm far beyond your understanding, a rhythm that takes into account the entire tapestry of life, not just the thread you are focused on. And so, when you cry out, how long must I wait? The silence is not absence. It is alignment. You are used to speed. You want answers like fast food, ready in minutes, consumed in seconds. But what is sacred cannot be microwaved. What is eternal cannot be hurried. The deeper the promise, the more precise the timing must be. Imagine giving a sharp sword to a child. It would be a disaster. But place that same sword in the hands of one who has been trained, tested, and tempered by life, and it becomes a tool of purpose. So while you are waiting, you are being refined. Your impatience is being replaced with insight. Your fear is being carved in faith, and the divine watches, not with indifference, but with knowing, like a sculptor who will not reveal the statue until every unnecessary piece of stone has been removed. Then, one day, when you have stopped counting days and started honoring the process, it happens. The doors that would not open swing wide, not because you pushed harder, but because you became the person who no longer needs to force anything. That is the beauty of divine timing. When it arrives, it fits so perfectly, you will wonder why you ever doubted. Sometimes, it is only in looking back that you understand why things didn't happen when you wanted them to. In the moment, it feels like heaven is silent, like the divine is distant. But what you don't see is that life was never denying you. It was protecting something sacred. You were asking for a door to open, not knowing that behind it was a weight you weren't ready to carry. The divine sees what you cannot. What would break you if given too soon? What would distract you if given too easily? You think time is running out. You think you are late. But the truth is, you are arriving exactly when you need to. The river does not rush because someone is thirsty. It flows at its own pace, knowing the thirst will be met when the soul is ready to drink. You are not behind, you are being aligned. In divine timing, everything unfolds with quiet wisdom. The people you need, the lessons you must learn, the strength you must gather, it all comes, not in chaos but in harmony. And when that moment arrives, there is no struggle, no forcing. Things fall into place not because you pushed, but because you finally stopped pushing. Then, when it all makes sense, you will not just celebrate the promise, you will respect the process. You will realize delay was the preparation, the silence was the shaping, and the waiting was the very thing that made you ready. In that stillness, you will smile and say, now I see. It wasn't late. It was perfect. So now, breathe. You have not been forgotten. You have not been overlooked. You have been prepared. Every moment of silence was not absence. It was presence, working in ways your eyes could not yet see. The promise was never just a reward. It was a revelation waiting for the right version of you to emerge. Now, the stirring in your spirit, the shift in your awareness, it's not coincidence, it's timing, divine timing, the kind that doesn't rush, doesn't explain, but always fulfills. And so, the voice you've been longing to hear speaks, not in thunder, but in stillness. It is time. You are ready. Watch now, as I keep my promise. Let this not just be a moment of receiving, but a moment of remembering that what is truly divine never fails, never forgets, and never arrives late. It arrives when you are finally able to see it.